What up, everybody? Last month I reported on an article from therap.com with the Star's director of programming, and in that interview, she said this concerning the future of the Power franchise and the two books that were ending. I can tell you that we love the potential of that franchise, and we love that it's going to keep continuing. That doesn't mean that it's not hard to say goodbye to the ones that are ending, but we also have that excitement of what's coming. And Origins is just the one that we've announced so far. So this means that there are multiple Power books in the works at Stars, that they're just keeping the information about these spin-offs private until the conclusion of the current books to avoid any potential spoilers. With that said, I definitely think that one of the books we will be seeing moving forward is Power Book 5, Influence. Influence was initially announced around the same time as the other spin-offs, but then later canceled. But just because the timing might not have been right to move forward with a Rashad Tate spinoff at that time, doesn't mean that they got rid of the idea altogether. And now that Tariq is getting older, and we'll have to decide whether he gets out the life or not, and if he survives this spinoff and doesn't go to jail, I think we could see Tariq join Tate on the Influence spinoff. Tariq would be the lead character in this spinoff like he was in Book 2, and Tate would be a main character with a larger role similar to Monet's role in Power Book 2. This is the main reason why I think they didn't move forward with the Influence spinoff to begin with. If Ghost hadn't got shot, James St. Patrick and Rashad Tate would have been perfect together for Influence. Also, at the end of Power, Tate was running for governor of New York, so the potential spinoff would have took place in Albany. But now that Tate is a congressman, we could potentially get a Tate spinoff in Washington, D.C. And just the other day, I saw Lorenz Tate post a picture on IG from none other than Washington, D.C. And D.C. is a place we know that at least one Power character moved to try to get away from the life and start over, and that's Jukebox. Currently on Raising Kanan, Jukebox is living in Queens, and her entire family is waist deep in the game, to the point of federal investigation into her family just caused her to get brought in for questioning right after performing with her group Butter. But in Power Season 3, Jukebox was living in Washington, D.C. as a dirty cop, similar to Carter, except Jukebox wasn't trying to uphold the law at all or live by any type of code other than getting money by any means necessary. So we could potentially see Tariq following in Juke's footsteps and moving to Washington, D.C. to start over in politics with Rashad Tate. Keep in mind the theme of Season 4 is like father, like son. And in the final season of Power, Ghost decided to go into politics. So we could see Tariq following in his father's footsteps, just on an expedited path. Keep in mind what Tariq said in Season 1, Episode 2, when he was speaking at Ghost's funeral. That Ghost wanted to give Tariq the life he never had, and Tariq called himself the manifestation of what his father could never be. So this might have been a hint from the second episode of the show that Book 2 would conclude with Tariq stepping into Ghost's shoes, no longer in the drug game though, but moving forward into the political world. Another Easter egg is that Tate just returned to Book 2 Season 4 Episode 7 after his brother's death. Tate made his original debut on Power, Season 4, Episode 7, on an episode ironically enough titled, You Lied to My Face. Keep in mind what Tate said about Tariq in Season 3, that he's a lying liar who lies just like his father. And Ghost lied to Tate in their very first conversation. Tate mentioned Ghost getting pushed into the Minority Trade Commission, what later became the QCP, by Simon Stern. And Ghost lied and said, he just felt like it was time that he gives back to the community. With that said, do you really think that they're bringing back Rashad Tate into the storyline with only 3 episodes left for no reason? I think they're building him up slowly in the last season of Book 2 in preparation for Influence. Just like I feel like the reason why Effie's mother is being introduced now is because Effie's story will continue into another book as well, and her mother will have a bigger role in whatever spin-off Effie's story continues on. And because the fact that Effie's history is a mystery, there's also a chance that her family ties is back in DC as well. I've talked about that in details in other videos before. And right now, Effie, Tariq, and Diana are all in a class called The Banality of Evil in Leadership. This course is described as a political and psychological exploration of whether evil is a necessary component of successful leadership. The final Stansfield course, being a political course, could be another hint at the next chapter. And the fact that this course is talking about evil being a necessary component lets us know that the drama and the murders that we're so used to in the Power universe will continue in this book as well, just from a political perspective. So I would expect those 4 characters to continue into influence: Tariq, Tate, Effie, and Diana. Most likely because Tariq and Diana are looking like they're going to be together. Their relationship will continue into influence as they move to Washington, D.C. to pursue a normal life. Keep in mind that the trailer shows Diana telling Tariq that she just wants to live a normal life. And then there's the fact that right now Tariq and Tate have a common enemy, Dawn Carter, and they don't even know it yet. Trying to take out Carter could ultimately be what aligns Tariq with Tate to begin with. Because right now, I don't think Tariq wants much to do with Tate, because the fact it was Rashad who blew the whistle on the Ponzi scheme that cost Tariq his trust fund. And even before that, Tate was extorting Tariq out of 5 bands a week to keep his mouth shut to the feds, after he was the one who just told them about Tariq doing an internship at Weston Holdings. So it would take a common enemy to unite Tariq and Tate again to begin with. Except this time, I think that Tariq will get the upper hand finally with Tate for the first time. I think it'll be a very similar situation to the end of Power when Tariq was able to blackmail Saxe about being at Truth with a gun. And much like Ghost had everyone coming for him at the end of Power, I also think that this is how it's going to end for Detective Dawn Carter, most likely in episode 9, with multiple people coming for him, but at the end of the day, it will be Rashad Tate who pulls the trigger and puts a bullet in Dawn Carter to avenge his brother's death. But Tariq will watch the whole thing go down. He might even take a picture or record a quick video. And then he will use this as blackmail against Rashad Tate to force him to give him a job with him in Congress in Washington, D.C. as his chief of staff. And this is how Tariq will get out the game. And I already said in another video that I think this whole thing will go down at the cathedral Carter goes to, and he'll get killed in the confessional booth or right after he walks out of the confessional booth. And moving forward to Power Book influence, they would start out working with each other, but like James and Rashad in Power, it would only be a matter of time until they became rivals. Again, sticking with the like father, like son narrative. I also think Lauren Baldwin could have a role on influence, because we do know that the Baldwin family has ties back to Washington, D.C., because her mother was at the robbery of the jewelry store in Power Season 3. And Lauren's boyfriend from Ghost Season 1, Malcolm, was also from D.C. So I think it's most likely after the jewelry store robbery, the Baldwins decided that DC was becoming too dangerous, and that's when they moved to New York. And then after everything happened with Lauren, they likely moved back to DC when they left New York in Season 3. Lauren, Effie, and Diana all being in the same city as Tariq again would create another dynamic to the show given their history. I also think we could see Tasha and Yaz as full-time characters on the next book once Tariq gets out the life. They could then leave Witsec and move to DC to be with Tariq. Then there's also Tate's love interest from Season 3, Harper Bonnet, who we haven't seen at all in Season 4, but was disgusted at Rashad Tate at the end of Season 3, after she overheard his conversation trying to get bribe money from Davis McLean. This was right after Tate proposed to her. So I don't think we've heard the last of her story either. And then there's Cassandra, Tate's assistant's wife from OG Power, who got caught having an affair with Rashad. She was supposed to be given an opportunity to run for Congress in order to keep silent about what happened. So there is now a chance that Cassandra's already in DC with Tate. And it was Ramona who took care of that situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ramona return in influence also. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.